Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a super fascinating intersection between deep cultural heritage and cutting-edge technology. We are going to explore exactly how the ancient African philosophy of Ubuntu, along with traditional theological frameworks, can actually guide our adoption of artificial intelligence. You know, the renowned journalist Jeff Kinyanjui famously noted that only Africans can tell the African stories. And honestly, when a massively disruptive technology like AI enters the picture, figuring out how to use it ethically means we absolutely have to look at it through the dual lenses of cultural heritage and faith.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start off by looking at AI in the African church, dive into the philosophy of Ubuntu, break down intellectus versus ratio, explore the pillars of digital stewardship, and wrap it all up with a pastoral path forward. Let's get right into it. Starting with Section 1, AI in the African church, and the new reality we're living in. Get this, the sheer scale of AI adoption right now is absolutely staggering. According to the 2025 PwC Africa Workforce Hopes and Fears Survey, 64% of African workers actually used AI in their roles over the previous 12 months. Just think about that for a second. That number vastly outpaces the global average, which sits at 54%. So, Africa is definitely not lagging behind in this technological revolution. In a lot of practical ways, they are actually leading the adoption curve. And this huge digital leap, it's already crossed directly into the church ecosystem. We are looking at a continent with a youth population exceeding 400 million, and ministries are adapting incredibly quickly. Pastors and ministry leaders are already utilizing large language models to do some heavily complex tasks. We're talking about cross-referencing biblical texts, generating sermon outlines, streamlining administrative budgeting, and even creating localized digital media just to reach the next generation. So really, the big question isn't whether to use AI anymore, but rather, how do we use it well? Moving right along to Section 2. The philosophy of Ubuntu, which serves as our cultural anchor. You've probably heard the powerful phrase, I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. That is the absolute core of Ubuntu. It's this incredible framework that says an individual's identity, their dignity, and their humanity are all fundamentally shaped through relationships. It heavily prioritizes community harmony and deep empathy over the kind of rigid, isolated individualism that is, frankly, so often baked right into Western-designed AI models. So, when we assess AI through this communal lens of Ubuntu, we are forced to ask some really tough structural questions. We have to ask ourselves, how might these algorithms actually erode our organic, physical relationships? How are Western-centric datasets quietly shaping and maybe even homogenizing our theological understanding? Are we just sitting back as passive consumers, or are we acting as co-creators? And on a practical level, how do we intentionally guide our communities through this? Because if we just blindly rely on a tool that prioritizes quick transactions over genuine relationships, we really risk fracturing the entire communal fabric. That brings us to Section 3, intellectus versus ratio, or basically mind versus machine. To really unpack this, we need to draw from the 2025 Antiqua and Nova doctrinal framework and the thoughts of St. Thomas Aquinas. They make this brilliant distinction. AI possesses ratio, or reason, which is that analytical, computational process. And it excels at this. It calculates and simulates with immense, mind-boggling speed. But here's the catch. AI completely lacks intellectus. It has zero intuitive, deep grasp of spiritual truth, meaning, or reality. AI can perform tasks, sure, but it literally cannot think. It's got ratio, but zero intellectus. And because these machines have no soul, no consciousness, and absolutely no capacity for transcendence, we arrive at a really critical danger known as the anthropomorphic illusion. This happens anytime we start treating a virtual tool or a chatbot like it's a real person. For ministry leaders and educators, you have to avoid this illusion at all costs. You simply cannot outsource genuine pastoral empathy or the physical incarnational fellowship of the BOMA, that traditional community gathering space, to a chatbot. A machine can mimic empathy all day long, but it can never, ever actually feel it. On to Section 4, Pillars of Digital Stewardship, where we'll establish some practical guardrails. So if AI can't replace human connection, how do we ethically govern it? Well, the Antiqua et Nova document hands us this perfect stewardship playbook, broken down into 3 main pillars. First up is human dignity. Technology has to always serve and complement humanity. It should never de-skill or degrade human labor. Second is the common good. Our development must actually cultivate true wisdom, not just hoard a bunch of data. If we over-rely on AI, we completely lose our critical thinking skills. And the third pillar, human responsibility. This one is absolutely crucial. Only a human being can be a moral agent. The ultimate accountability for a church budget, a tough pastoral decision, or a grading rubric always rests solely with the human. You can never delegate your moral responsibility to an algorithm. Finally, we've reached section 5, the pastoral path forward and how we go about redeeming these tools. Before we can move forward, we have to squarely face the current justice gaps in global tech. Right now, global models are trained predominantly on Western data. This essentially leaves the African continent as a data desert, where its unique realities are totally ignored. Then there's the linguistic exclusion. Thousands of rich local languages are severely underrepresented, which genuinely threatens indigenous language preservation. And on top of that, there's a complete absence of Afrocentric logic. Current AI tools just don't understand communal philosophies like Ubuntu. They default straight to hyper-individualism. Oh, and let's not forget the physical side of things. The cloud requires massive amounts of energy and water, heavily impacting local environments. So, what's the game plan? The crucial point here is action. To counteract these massive gaps, we need to focus on 3 big things. Number 1, create localized content. We absolutely must digitize our sermons, our history, and our theology. Because if our stories aren't digitized, the AI models are never going to learn them. Number 2, we need contextual digital discipleship. We have to teach the youth how to critically interact with AI, how to spot algorithmic biases, and how to protect social trust. And number 3, we must build Afrocentric AI tools. Theologians and tech experts need to team up to build databases that reflect true African realities, languages, and communal values. I want to leave you with one final, really provocative thought to chew on. These tools might be brand new, but the values we need to wield them properly, they are ancient. We have this incredibly rich heritage of relational community and deep faith to bring to the global AI conversation. But listen, if we don't actively claim our own narrative in this digital epoch, if we don't intentionally feed our faith, our values, and our unique stories into these algorithms, someone else is going to tell our stories for us. And trust me, they will get them wrong. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to really reflect on how you're applying this ancient wisdom to the new tools in your own life.